there everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Crochet channel. First and foremost, if this is your first time visiting the channel, then just take a moment now to subscribe and also click on that little bell so that you get all of the notifications whenever I upload a new tutorial. Also remember that I have a sister channel as well called Blossom Crochet Extra, where you can find lots of other different types of videos, and I will leave the link for that in the description as well. So this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful granny square. So you can make small granny squares, much smaller than this, or you could make one large one and just keep going. It's totally up to you. But I really like the spike granny square because, as you can see, it's very closed. Apart from these corner stitches, it's a very closed stitch, so there's not many holes in it at all. And I really like that lovely zigzaggy effect that you get when working with more than one colour. So we're going to jump straight in with our spiked granny square. Okay, so I'm going to be using two colours for the tutorial, just like I do here, just so you can get the idea of how to change colour and things, but obviously you can do it in one, or you can change colour in every row. So as always, we're going to start with a slip knot on our hooks. I'm just using some DK yarn and a 4mm hook, but you can use absolutely any yarn that you like. So you want to start with a chain of 4, 2, 3 and 4. And we want to turn this into a ring, so you're going to insert your hook into that first chain just next to your slip knot and slip stitch. So yarn over and pull through both loops. And that will give you a little circle here to work your stitches. Now we're going to chain 2, and that is going to count as our first stitch, so that is going to count as our first treble. So please remember that I am using UK terminology in my videos. So this is a UK treble, but these will be US doubles. So it's the same stitch, just a different name. So we're going to be using UK trebles or US doubles for the entirety of the video. So now we want to create our first granny cluster. So a granny cluster is just a set of 3 trebles together. So the chain 2 counts as the first one, but we need 2 more. So you want to yarn over, insert into that centre ring, yarn over and pull up. You'll have those 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got 2 trebles there now. 1 more, yarn over, insert back into your centre ring, yarn over and pull up. Again, 3 loops there. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is our first granny cluster. So that's our first 3 trebles. Now we want to create a corner, so we're going to chain 2 for a corner space, and then we're going to go back into our ring and do our next granny cluster. So 3 trebles all together. 1, 2 and 3. Again, now create your next corner by chaining 2, and then you want to do that 2 more times. So you want granny cluster, chain 2, granny cluster. Okay, so I've now got 3 granny clusters, chain 2, I'll do my final set of 3 trebles into that centre ring. And now we need to create our final corner space. So you will do a final chain 2, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 from the beginning. So find your top of that chain 2 and slip stitch. So pull through both of those loops, and that is just your centre for your granny square. Now if I just bring back my example square, you'll see that the first 2 rounds there are no spike stitches. The first 2 rounds are just normal rounds of granny square, so these 2 first pink rounds. The spike stitches don't actually start until your 3rd round of stitches. So obviously you can change colour at this point if you wish, but as I say, I'm going to be doing 2 rounds of each colour. Now with my granny squares, I like to turn them. You don't have to. I mean, my granny squares wouldn't twist if I didn't turn because of the way that I crochet, but a lot of people's do. And so to help with that, turning is the solution. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work around, and I'm going to slip stitch back into that corner space. And I'm now ready to start my 2nd round. So I'm going to chain 2, and then into this corner space I'm going to do 2 more trebles. So that will count as our 3 trebles for our first granny cluster. So we will finish this corner off when we get back round on the other side. So I don't chain anything between my granny clusters. I'm going to go straight into my next granny cluster over in my chain 2 space. So jump across to your chain 2 space, and I'm going to do my corner. So a corner will always consist of a granny cluster, so 3 trebles, oh, got a squeaky hook, chain 2 to create your new corner space, and then back into that same chain 2 space, so your same space, you'll do 3 trebles. So in each corner space you will have a granny cluster, a chain 2, and another granny cluster. Okay, so you should have 6 trebles worked into one corner space, separated with your chain 2. And then again, jump across to your next corner and do a new corner. So granny cluster, chain 2, and granny cluster, all in that same chain space. Okay, so I want you to repeat that now. So you'll do another corner here, so granny cluster, chain 2, granny cluster, and then I will meet you to finish off our final one together. Okay, so if you remember, we did our first granny cluster for this corner space when we started the round. So we need 1 granny cluster in that chain 2 space, remember your chain 2 before you close the round. Don't forget to do your chain 2. So again, slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 that you started off the round with, and that is my first 2 rounds ready. So obviously at this point it is just a normal granny square. I'm going to chain 1, snip my yarn and pull that out and just tighten up, because this is where I'm going to change colours. So obviously this is how you would change colours throughout your project. So I'm bringing in my colour B, shall we say? And again, I'm just going to pop a slip knot on my hook. Now you can keep all of your joins in the same corner if you want, or you can join at any other corner. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters at this point is that you turn your work around, because obviously it's still facing us from the round that we just did. So turn your work over and connect your new yarn. So I like to do standing stitches, but you can just connect and then do a chain 2. It's totally up to you. So I'm just going to go into my chain 2 space, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is a standing stitch. So now I'm going to do 2 more trebles in this corner space, just like in the last round. We will finish it off when we come back around at the end of the round. But now you can see here we've got our gap in between our granny clusters from the previous row, and we've also got a granny cluster directly below where we're going to be working our stitches. So our stitches will go in this space, but we will have our very first spike stitch. So you'll do one treble in between these two trebles, so one treble, and then obviously underneath you've got 3 trebles from that very first round. You want to work into the top stitch of that middle treble. So you'll yarn over, you'll insert through the top of that middle treble. Make sure that you go through the whole of the stitch. If you can see there, I've got the 2 loops on the top, and then yarn over and pull up, but pull up quite tall. You don't want to scrunch it up, you want to pull it up tall, and then complete your treble as normal. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that has worked a spike stitch down into that middle treble from the previous row. Then you want to finish your granny cluster with another treble into the space between your granny clusters. So yarn over, try not to, because the top of that stitch will be a little bit pulled up, try not to work into that. Make sure you work into the proper space and complete your treble. So that is our first spike stitch completed. Now the corner space are just worked the same throughout. They will just be granny cluster. So your 3 stitches, because obviously there's no spike stitches in the corners. Chain 2, granny cluster. So on this particular round you will only have 1 spike stitch on each of your sides. So let's work the next one. So you'll do 1 treble into the space between your granny clusters. Your middle treble will work into the middle treble of that row below. So yarn over, insert through the whole of the top of that stitch, yarn over and pull up, again pull nice and tall, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then finish your granny cluster with your final treble back into that normal space between your clusters on the row below. So that's your next granny spike. And then again work your corner. So your 3 trebles, chain 2 and your 3 trebles into that corner space. Okay, so now at this point you will complete the rest of this round. So you'll go straight into your granny spike cluster here, 1 more corner granny spike cluster here, and I will meet you to finish off the round. I've worked my final spiked granny cluster, and I'm just ready to finish off this round with the other half of our corner. So 3 trebles into that final corner space. Always remember to do your chain 2 before you close off the round. So close to the top of your first stitch. Like so. And that is your first round of spike stitches. So I'm going to do 1 more round with you in this pink colour, and then hopefully you would be able to follow that same concept, that same principle to complete all of the rows that you will need. So again, you'll chain 1, turn your work and slip stitch back to that corner space, and then again chain 2 and 2 trebles, and then again now we're ready to work our spike clusters. So this time we've got 2 spaces that we will be doing stitches in, and 2 sets of granny clusters here that we will be working our spike stitches. So straight into that first space we're going to do 1 treble, and then again find the centre treble of that granny cluster and spike stitch. So yarn over, go through the whole of the top of the stitch, yarn over and pull up nice and tall, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then again, make sure you pull apart to go in the right space to do your final treble of that cluster. Okay, like so. And then again, jump over to your next space and do the same thing. So a normal treble, spike treble into the middle one from the row below and pull up nice and tall, and then one final treble into that space. Okay, and then complete your corner as normal. I'm really sorry if you can hear that tap tap tapping sound. It's I've put the dog out because she was driving me crackers, so I've just popped her outside while I finished filming, and she's decided that now's the most convenient time for her to do a little tap dance on the bench outside the kitchen window. So right, that's our next corner done. So again, now you will do your 2 sets of granny spike stitches and corner, 2 sets of granny spike stitches, final corner, and then I will meet you to close off this round one more time, and I will show you very briefly again how to change colour. Again, now I'm ready to finish off. Oops, no I'm not. Not like that, I ain't finishing anything. Right, finish off with your final granny cluster into that final corner space where we started the round. So 3 trebles, chain 2, and then slip stitch to the top of that first. Chain 2. I'm going to change colours, so I'm going to chain 1, snip, and pull that out. Okay, so that is how you would be looking after 2 rounds. Doesn't look like a massive amount at the minute. Obviously, the more rows you work up, or if you change colour every row, the more pronounced the pattern will be quicker. Obviously, as you can see, once you do get worked up quite a bit, it looks really effective. So I'll just show you very quickly one last time how to change your colour. So start with your slip knot. Always make sure that when you have finished a round, make sure you turn to face the other way. You'll be able to tell if you're not sure. If you just hold your work and look directly at it, you will see that these chain stitches across the top slightly fold in towards you. Whereas if I turn it around, you can see that they fold away. You can see those V's actually face more the other way. So I know now that I have turned and I need to attach my work this way. There's that tap dancing dog again. So yarn over on your hook, attach into a corner space, any corner space, it doesn't matter. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you're ready then again to just crack on. Hopefully now you will know everything that you need to be able to continue this around and around as big as you wanted. You can change colour every row, every other row, do it continuously one colour. It looks super effective no matter what. But just remember your spike stitches on your straight sides. So you can see I've gone opposites for this one this time. Anyway, that is it for the spike granny tutorial. On this one, because I had finished, I just added 1 round of UK double crochets or US single crochets just to give it a nice clean finish for the video. But obviously if you were doing smaller squares or whatever, just finish them however you liked, but that is what I wanted to do. So as I say, I will see you again really soon for another crochet tutorial. Make sure to subscribe if you don't already, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye for now.